goal-setting workshop. One day I found this tape at my mom's house. In that workshop, he had everyone set their goals. So they all did the goal setting, wrote them down, and then he had everyone share a few of their goals. He taught the power of writing down a goal and then sharing it out loud. Well, a young couple shared the goal that they were going to win the lottery. And Robbins resisted and essentially said, you can't write a goal down like that. That's impossible. He wanted more realistic goals that could be achieved a little easier. And yet the couple insisted and said something to the effect of, no, we want to keep this as our goal. We're writing it down. You told us to do this, and we believe we can do it. Several months later, they won the lottery. That is when I started writing down goals. That's how it started.
It's a wonderful story.
That's where we're going to begin. There's so many options every second, every day, all the time, that you actually have to order on the menu of the universe, or God's likely to send you anything at any time. Because you haven't ordered properly. It's like you go to a restaurant and you just go, well, we're just sitting here. And after a couple hours, they're probably just going to give you what they were going to, feed the dog. So ordering on the menu of the universe is the beginning of the whole deal. We're here partially because we are actually seeking out the best health ever. But I wonder how many people in this room have the goal written down, I experience the best health ever. Now that's extremely interesting.
We do now.
It takes 5 seconds to write that goal. Here's the goal. I am the healthiest person ever.
Yeah.
Now I have my goal written down before you, so I'm beating you, but it doesn't matter. I am the healthiest person ever. In the process of goal setting, I learned something really, really profound. And that is, if you take the goal and you flip it open so the universe decides exactly what level that goal is going to be, a magical power is invoked. So for example, I drive a Ford Taurus. That's a cool goal. Or probably not. But the goal, I drive the best car ever, takes the control over what the whole thing is. It takes it completely out of you and puts it on the Creator to discover exactly what the best ever is. That's the whole idea behind the best health ever. We are born into an aberrant situation. We're born into a situation where there's been 150, at least when we were born, nuclear weapons have gone off in the atmosphere. By some estimates, it's 250. We've got depleted uranium being used in Iraq without even anybody noticing. Nobody cares. Chemtrails being dumped in the air. It's all, it's a bright sunny day, except that trail going across there. I hope that's good for us. We were born into a situation where we're born in hospitals with anesthetics, and the whole thing is an aberrant situation. So we actually don't really know what the best health ever is. That's why we have to kind of turn the whole thing over to the Creator to figure it out for us. That's the idea of the best ever. Here's another one. I eat the best food ever. I can't tell you how many problems that solved. It's axiomatically in front of me every single day without trying. The best food ever, showing up on my plates. It's unbelievable. Because if you order on the menu of the universe goes, oh, okay, this person actually knows what they want. Jimmy, in the back, take this order and deliver that. And so the cook can actually, or the uncook, as the case may be, can deliver the order because they know what it is. Energy flows where our attention goes. Having worked with people like Howard Wills, and Nick is a friend with Howard Wills as well, I have seen people be instantaneously healed in 1 second by a guy snapping his fingers. I've been around that. I know Uri Geller personally. I've been to his house. I've seen him bend spoons. I've seen all the powers he can do, read my mind, the whole thing, everything, all of it. And what's really interesting to me is what turns that power on. Because I asked them, what makes it work? What turns it on? And here's what turns it on. Wherever my attention goes. If I put my attention on it, it will turn on. Now, you don't have to be a super powerful psychic to realize that that's probably universally true. That whatever you put your attention on turns on. So if you put your attention on, I eat, organic food sometimes, versus I eat the best food ever, that's a different point of attention. And if our energy goes where our attention flows, or our energy flows where our attention goes, then all of a sudden we can start driving energy into what we want instead of what we think we want or what we're not sure that we want. You can write a goal down. Here's an amazing thing. This is another thing I learned about goal setting. The universe is kind of set up in a way, the universe has a lot more to do with a story than it has to do with mathematical equations. So the actual way that the universe is set up is like a story. Your life is like a story. If you go back and you look at your life and every episode of your life, it fits together like a good novel. Now, what's interesting about that and what I learned through goal setting is that you can actually you can start writing your own story the way you want it to unfold by creating the goals that become the future. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And the universe responds to that, which is even more shocking. Why? Why is it that the universe responds to that? I don't know, but it works. I love that kind of understanding. Do we actually have to know why it works? No, who cares? Just as long as it works, okay, let's just go with it. That couple won the lottery because they wrote the goal down, they believed they could do it, and the next thing you know, the lottery is won. Is that going to happen to everybody here? Good. I'm firmly convinced, based on goal setting, that sometimes you set a goal down. Let's say it's a goal. I drink the best drinks ever. Here's another big one, huge. I drink the best water ever. Here's another one. I bathe in the best water ever. Right? As soon as you start moving on that track, what happens is the universe will decide it in ways you can't predict. It will create the opportunity and all of a sudden be in front of you in ways that you can't understand or cannot predict. And that's important because it gets us out of our mind and gets us more into like being. There's a dichotomy or a balance between goal setting and being in the moment. Because people aren't into goal setting. No, I'm just in the moment. I'm just in the moment. Nope, I'm just about being in the moment. But there's actually a fine line between those two. There's goal setting and being in the moment. If you put some signposts out there, which is the goal setting, you can totally be in the moment. The universe will just go, here's your little, the pinball will hit you. Like boom, bing, 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 bing. And just, rack up those points of goals. I also put in my goals, I check, like if I accomplish a goal, like a real big one, I'll put it under my victory file. Mm-hmm. So the goal gets moved out of where it was before and it gets put in like a victory file. So that I can review that, go, okay, that's cool, that all happened. Now, does every single goal happen every time?
Not yet. It's on the way, yes.
I've noticed that it's about 33% for me. If I set 100 goals, I'll achieve 33 of them. Which is interesting. I've noticed that over years because I used to set goals every year, 100 goals, and then at the end of the year I'd check off which ones were achieved. That's a very powerful thing to do. And it's usually around 33%. Now some of those goals, it's like, oh, it just didn't happen now, maybe it'll happen tomorrow. So you just reset the time on it and you go with it. Right? People tear themselves apart by saying, it didn't happen when it was supposed to at that particular time, and this thing doesn't work. But in fact, I found that it does work. And I've had goals that I set years ago, forgot about completely and totally. All of a sudden, 10 years later, looking and there it is. I've been doing it for about 16 years, goal setting. Like hardcore. Every year, put the goals down. My goal is to have 6,000 goals. Why we're here, partially is to have the experience, partially is to learn a little bit about nutrition. And I love the way that Greg had put it, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical nutrition. All aspects of it. Well, we've got to have something in writing that's a marker out there that's telling the Creator that that's what we want. And that's the goal. So we can't even get into a conversation about nutrition unless we actually have enough confidence in ourselves that we can write a goal down. And it's interesting, that battle. I've seen it. I've seen it myself. The battle of actually typing the goal out. A 5-second process. Isn't that interesting? Why is that? Because somewhere in your subconscious, you know that if you write that down, the universe will suddenly start lining up coincidences for you. And so then you go through a thing of, do I really want that goal? Right? It makes it a lot easier, by the way, if you do best ever goals, because then you don't have to get into the specifics of, I want this exact stereo with these things on it that can play my iPod, whatever. It's just like, I have the best stereo ever in my car. It makes things a lot easier if you get into if you just turn it over to the universe to decide.